I'm going to make one of those decorative rustic ladders that everybody seems to love having in their house, having blankets draped off of them, quilts, you name it. We're guilty of it. We love them too. And today I'm going to go over some distressing with you towards the middle to the end of the video. But for now, I'm going to show you how to get these set up and get these made. So I've got two 8-foot furring strips. Now, for this project, I've got to say, this is about the only time I'm happy with the big box stores to have crappy lumber, because that is going to work in our favor. So the 8-foot furring strips, for me personally, I'm going to cut these down to 5 feet, 60 inches. All right. That's going to leave you 3 feet left over to where you could actually get a 5-foot section and a 3-foot section. So I'm going to get started, and I'm going to get these cut down to 5 feet. Now what I'm doing here, because I want my boards to be pretty much the same length, and I'll put a B-roll clip in to show you. I have the two boards on top of each other, matched up at the other end, and then I have a clamp on them so they won't move. So I know when I cut these at 5 feet, they're going to be 5 feet. I don't have one at 5 feet and an eighth. They're going to be the same size. So let me go ahead and get these cut down. Hands are away from the blade. That's always important. So now that I got both boards cut, and they're cut to the exact same length, I'm going to leave that clamp on, and eventually I'm going to clamp it down here. That way, when I go through the drill press, the holes should be perfectly lined up, and only have to drill one set of holes. The material's thin enough, so I'm going to give it a shot, see what it's like. I've got 1-inch dowel rods that I'm going to use, and you know, it's what I had laying around. So literally this project, I mean, at some point in time it cost me money, but for today, it's not costing anything. So I'm going to cut my dowel pins down to 15¼ inches. So that's going to be how wide the ladder's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and get those started. Line it up. And then cut it. For this, we're going for the rustic look. So they might be a little bit longer, they might be a little bit shorter. You know, it's really up to you on how precise. But since I'm going rustic, it doesn't really bother me. I believe I'm going to need 5 total for this. So that's what I'm going to cut. Just matching these up at the end, making my mark. Cutting it off. Alright, so that should be my 5 dowel pins. These are going to be the legs. And when we get to the stretching part, I'm going to show you how to make these look not brand new. So we're going to set those aside for right now. And I am going to take you over to the bandsaw, show you what I'm going to add to these that for me, I think it's a little twist. So, alright, so I'm at the bandsaw, and what I'm going to do here is right about in the center, I'm going to cut a little slot in here, and I'll show you why later. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. So now I cut a slot somewhat into the center. Didn't have to be perfect, not very deep. It's not something that's measurable. What I'm going to eventually do to kind of give it that more rustic look, so I'm going to cut some shims when I put it into the ladder, pound some shims in here to make it look like it's being held in by the shim. Alright, so I have a board set back there clamped down to give me my width. I have a sacrificial board underneath here to drill through. And I have, coming from the top, my first hole is going to be 4 inches down. It's marked center. And then every 13 inches after that, I have the center hole marked. And that's what I'm going to be drilling all the way down. So it's clamped on that end, clamped on this end, so I should be able to drill both holes at the same time. All right, here we go. Alright, so as you can see, clamping it down, putting in a sacrificial board, completely worked. So I'm going to move on to getting the dowel sanded and getting this ready. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, I found a nice piece of cherry laying around, so I'm going to go ahead and cut a strip out of that and use that for the wedge for the legs. Just like that. Nice little piece of veneer. It's going to go right in there. Alright, we got all our pieces ready. Now we're going to assemble it. This should go together pretty easy. I already dry fit it. I might need a persuader, but we're going to see. Basically, just putting the pegs in the holes. And those are in. Now we're going to get the top in. Or the other side, whatever you want to call it. These are really fun to make. And if you get a second to make one, they're neat. This will be our second one. And I enjoy making them. So yeah, we're going to need to persuade this a little bit. Get her to start going down. Now the nice thing is, we want this to be rustic. So this little bit of pounding is actually going to benefit us. That's it. So there you have it. A ladder. Now, what am I going to do with the shims I made? Okay, now, what am I going to do with the shims that I made? What am I going to do with the slots in the hole? If you noticed, when I put this together, I did not glue it. There. Now, these go in tight. So, you can glue it, you cannot glue it. Me, personally, I chose not to glue it. It's just me. But, what I'm doing instead is those slots that I put in, putting shims in, which if you've ever made a hammer or repaired a hammer, the shims are actually kind of what holds everything together. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to put these shims in, pound them down until they bottom out, cut them off with a flush trim saw, and then get ready to finish it. You know, these are going in the house. So it's not like my 280-pound body is going to be climbing up and down on this. It's going to hold blankets. It's going to hold quilts. So this is going to be just sufficient. And I think it's going to give it a nice little decorative look. All right, we are almost to the finished part. I'm going to go ahead and get these sanded down a little bit, get them ready. We're almost ready to finish. All right, so I went ahead and started hitting this with some black spray paint, just sporadic, just hitting it, letting it get on there. I hit the legs really good because I wanted those scratch marks to show. And as you can see, I really like how those little splines came out in the legs. Now, tomorrow, I will hit this with some white and then give it a light sanding, and we'll go from there. But sun's down, it's getting cold, and I'm gonna call it a night. I went ahead and threw some white paint on this tonight. Tomorrow I will sand it, but what I wanted to show you was how nice, if you can see them, those cracks that I made were coming out. Sand that one, it'll look better tomorrow. But where the white didn't overtake the black, you can really see it. Alright, so what I'm doing here, I've painted it black, sanded it some, painted it some with some white, and now I'm taking this aqua blue, and it's a stain, and going over the paint, just dry brushing it in areas to give it that weathered look, and then basically I'm wiping the stain to blend it in. So now you can see how it's looking weathered. Alright, once that dries, I will get it in the house, show you what it looks like. Alright, so here's the finished product. As you can see, it looks weathered. And really, I think it looks really good. Kind of blends in with the wall well. Alright, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is what it is. Tomorrow, we'll get some blankets on it.